Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Welcome back to Islam Podcast. Ramadan Mubarak, Eid Mubarak. Hope you guys had a wonderful time with your families and friends and lots of ibadah, lots of food. Maybe some of you gained some extra weight. Some of you need to shed it off before the game starts tomorrow, but it's great to be back. And so let's get this started. First of all, let me welcome our panelist, Mr. I'll let him introduce himself. Everybody knows.
Guys, good to be back after a month. Excited for the end of the season and playoffs, and inshallah, we get to talk about some juicy topics. Maybe as we head into the playoffs, some teams in better positions than others, and yeah.
So Abdullah, how's your Ramadan and Eid in general? Away from home?
It was very, very busy. I'd say I don't really think that Ramadan is a time necessarily where you get much rest with work and ibadah and stuff. So especially school now. So I feel like it's it's been a pretty busy month, and alhamdulillah, I hope I made the best of it. And how was yours?
It was good. Spent it mostly with friends and family.
Mhm.
Mostly. And speaking of friends, we have another friend of the show, Mr. Salman Azmat. Mr. Azmat.
I thought you were just going to ignore me.
No, well, I mean,
That's what I thought.
listen, Abdullah's talking. We have to give him space. Just because you're late doesn't mean we have to be rude to everyone else.
You know what? It's 9:05. Not that late. I'm so tired. I don't know if you can tell by my face, but I'm exhausted.
Why?
Whew. It's like we've been fasting for 30 days.
Yeah, so have we.
Haven't been sleeping well. Have some cramps, from all that eating. So, man, I wonder if anyone else has cramps, but they better go away very quickly before tomorrow's game, inshallah. So,
yeah, we're just Abdullah was just saying that off air that I won't give too many details, but like it has to do with water weight and a lot of other.
Yeah, man, it's true. We're gonna see who comes flying out tomorrow, or who's gonna be sluggish.
I think that's going to be the key here is that whichever team has their players that either had worked out during Ramadan or they can come out to a quick start, because that's going to be an important one.
Agreed.
So on that note, we want to actually, kind of recap and do a summary of where the season ended, or paused, I should say, where things are. But before that, we didn't do a recap of the last week that we played. Boys, I actually forgot what's what. It's been 4 weeks, but I think Abdullah has a pretty good memory. So Abdullah, why don't we go through that real quick?
Yeah, no, for sure. So alhamdulillah, we were able to get some goal footage on our page for for the games that happened before the break. But nonetheless, there were 3 games instead of 4, obviously with the week, I guess, bye for the 2 teams that played on the snowstorm day. But yeah, essentially the first game, I believe, was Haya versus Ihsan. We we came out to a pretty good start, alhamdulillah. Like, we ended up winning the game 5-0, but I believe we were controlling the game from the beginning, and so I think that game for us was a pretty big one, especially given the nature of the playoff situation and our position. We wanted to continue to get that win and go into the Ramadan break ahead of time. I think we're undefeated in our last 4 games, either with wins or ties. So pretty big game for Haya, and I think for Ihsan that kind of was a stinger, because they they really needed to kind of get something to change before.
So this is the Ihsan versus Haya game you're talking
Yeah.
about, right? Which ended in a 5-0 win for Haya.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so honestly, I think from all fronts, we got scoring from all three lines. We were actually short benched. I think we were missing like 4 or 5 guys. Yusuf Siddiqui, pretty big player. But we had other players step up. Zaid Khalir, I believe, had a couple, and then got a ejection for 2 penalties. Hamoudi scored. Kashif scored. Suf scored. I think we got scoring from really everyone that game. So
Cool.
it was great to see, and I think, inshallah, the Ramadan break wasn't too long for our team, and we're able to continue to take that, as we go.
Yep. The next game, I don't know if this is in order or not, but on my screen here, I see Ikhlas versus Iman, and that was a 6-5 win for Ikhlas. Sally, were you not in that game? I forget.
I think he had a goal.
Sally, we can't
You're
hear you.
muted. You're muted.
In this day and age, still mute. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you at all.
You know what I did, right? I pressed a key.
Oh,
I pressed a key.
no worries.
Okay, so thank you for that. Our game was interesting. It was a high scoring game. I did end up scoring to Abdullah's point, which I think was maybe surprised everyone. Everyone on our team scored except for Abdullah and Madni wasn't there. Gaia. So the only 2 forwards on our entire team did not score.
Wow.
And even despite all that, man, we only won 6-5 because we kind of let some goals go in towards the end of the game. So I mean, we still won, but at the same time, it's like we got to finish strong, and we definitely didn't do that. But a win's a win at the end of the day, right? It was a good game though for our team,
especially against a team like Yakin, who's been struggling as of late, near the bottom of the pile with the rest
Iman.
of
Iman. Yeah.
Yeah, I think to start the game, first period had, I believe, only like 3 goals. Ikhlas started with a 1-0 lead. As we saw in like the highlight video that got posted earlier today, was Mikhail Zaidi literally jumping out of the penalty box and going on a breakaway with a nice dangle, tucked it under Mufti, I believe. That was a really, really good goal and a good start for him. He's been playing, honestly, pretty like really, really solid this year. And so Mikhail, he got them their 1-0 lead, but then Omar Hussein came back. And a player like Omar, giving him any type of space in a threatening position in front of the net, you're asking for trouble. And so his first goal, I believe, was he walked in and just took a clapper and it went top shelf, on Ali Khawaja. And his second goal was actually from like a really weird angle. You're not really supposed to score from there, but he managed to find like the top corner, from that angle. And if we do get footage, maybe we'll be able to post it later. But really, really good goal, and they went into the break with a 2-1 lead. But then the second half was all Ikhlas for the beginning up until probably like the last 4 minutes. But Ali Wadi had 4 assists that game. And being like a solid player with him, especially with the short bench that Ikhlas has, sometimes I feel like they play better with the short bench. So it was, I believe, 5-2. And then the last 5 minutes was just mayhem. 2 goals from Hussein Hamad, 1 goal from Isawi from like the red line. So, it was back and forth, and Hamza Chaudhry had actually 2 goals, and then one ended up being the, game winner.
He had some good dangles. Yeah.
And I believe he also ended up being the player
of the week.
Yeah. Right? So congratulations to him. I think he has a video out as well. But here, just for the sake of clarity, there it is.
There it is. Yeah.
2 goals, 2 assists, right? 4 points.
That's it, man.
Good job. Mashallah, the guy's a phenom.
I know we want to move on to the next game, but I just want to make a quick note. Khalid Mufti is a really good goalie, and I just don't think he's played to his potential. And I think he should. I think he has he has untapped potential right now in his game. We know he's good, so let's see if he can kind of bring it out in the second half of the season here. But I think Iman really needs him to kind of stop some goals now.
Yep. All right. The last game of last time we played was Yakin versus Takwa, and that ended with a 4-3 win for Yakin. And this was touted as
The
the
game of the evening.
Molten Madness of the.
Yeah. I think that this game, honestly, from what was said before the game, I think it really showed up and delivered. Another back and forth game, a huge, like really, really tough battle. If you were in front of the net and you had both Farouks behind you, you were gonna get something to the, to your back and to get you out of the way. And on the other hand, if if you're on Yakin and you're in front of the Takwan net, you're gonna have Huzi on your back, you're gonna have Abu Manja on your back, Kazi on your back. So it was a really, really tough, tight game. It really, really came down to some really good goals from Mohamed Shabir Patel, who's been delivering all season. But his second goal, he walked in on like a weird, I guess, angle and managed to find the top corner on Musa Manja to eventually give them the eventual game winner. But a really, really tight game. Not a lot of penalties, but still a very, very tough battle. And I think even though Takwa didn't get the win, this is definitely not, a super big loss for them, because given how some of their performances have been earlier in the season, I think it was a pretty good game. And hopefully the Ramadan break did good for them, and they're able to come out with.
I actually played in the game, so I can also shed some insider light on the game. You're right. MP scored 2 really good goals. Very sneaky. Just doesn't need a lot of space. Doesn't need a lot of opportunity. Had like half a step, and he just went in and sniped it. A lot of people, including the players who played, made comments after saying that it felt like a playoff game. There was a lot of intensity, even on the Takwa bench. I mean, when you have fiery guys like Huzi and Mohamed Kazi, they got fired up to play this game. Unfortunately, we didn't have Adil Patel, our GM, and that makes a massive difference, right? But nonetheless, I think we played pretty well. And even though Takwa has just been losing, we've lost, I think, 3 or 4 games with 1 goals. I mean, like somebody probably will prove me wrong, but it seems like we're close but no cigar every time. So, anyways, it is what it is. But hopefully, we can turn the page this week, inshallah. Sully, any thoughts from you on this game?
Man, we live streamed that game for a reason, and it lived up to the hype. It was probably one of the most competitive games. Yeah, it's you love to see it, because you know what it is, man. It's people that know each other. They play harder against each other, and they got something to play for. Yep. So it was a really, really fun game, and hopefully we get a couple more games like that. We all know each other now, right? So it should all the games should be like that.
Inshallah. Sure. All right. Got some people in the comments section that are finally showing up.
Well, I find it hilarious that Hood has joined. He says salam because he thinks we're going to talk about him.
We probably are going to talk about him later.
Yeah, we probably will. Oh, I got a lot to say about Hood.
Is there reason to talk about him? I don't know.
But maybe if he's expecting us to talk about him, we don't talk about him. Mm-hmm. Maybe his game should talk this week, and then we'll talk about him or not talk about him.
I don't know. We'll see, man. We'll see.
We'll see what happens. All right. Yeah. Okay, so let's do this. We want to go through each team real quick, just to remind people the state of affairs.
Do we have the standings also, or?
I'll try to pull it up, but we'll start with this. Let's see, what's the best way to show this off? Okay, cool. I have the standings here. I'll put it up in a sec while you guys talk about it. But the team that is first overall is none other than Sabr, who are 7-0-0. So just they have 7 straight wins, no ties, no losses, 14 points, 19 goals for, 9 goals against. They're the only team in single digits in terms of defensiveness. Gold, I think they're kind of in the middle of the pack, but it's really their stingy defense and goaltending.
Honestly,
Yusuf Kapoor, man.
Yeah, Yusuf has been phenomenal this season. Like always, he's a very, very strong goalie. For someone that when you look at it, he isn't the biggest goalie, but he somehow manages to make it up for it and literally cover his entire net. And you're really only scoring on him if it's like a lucky bounce or if it's a mistake on your defenseman part. And not to take away from the Sabr defense, they have been solid this game. Both offensively and defensively.
Mhm.
You have Tayyab, who is delivering with scoring and assisting, as well as blocking shots, and really just his leadership is really showing through. I think he's been he's been a GM for a couple of seasons, but I think this is really one where he's able to kind of be that leader, and lead his team. And they really have good vocal pieces on the team. They have Asif Bika, Mohib Shah, Bilal Muddin, his other GM pair.
Mhm.
I think these are really, really, guys that are coming up and showing their leadership. And, I think it's really motivating the rest of their team. And, to be 7-0-0 is not an easy feat at all.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be the first team. Has a team gone undefeated before?
Yeah, they have.
Really? Okay.
I think a couple of seasons
Yeah.
ago, the Malton team.
But I always find that when they're the first place team doing so well, they usually get knocked out in the first or second. Like they don't never take it to the finals.
Yeah. It's the
Right? Like I've seen that happen a couple of times. So I'm not saying that this is going to happen.
President's Trophy curse.
There you go.
Happened too, where a team has barely squeaked into the playoffs and they've gone to the finals, right?
That's it. Yeah.
That
And
happened
all
last
teams
season.
make the playoffs, so.
Yeah. One thing I will say about Sabr this year, huge shout out to Asif Bika. I played with him the previous season with Mohib and them, and they wanted to win so badly, but they had a difficult season, just offensively. But this year, mashallah, Asif is a different beast. He's like hustling out there. He's a lot of second efforts, diving for it, going forecheck, shooting, and it shows. He has 12 points in 7 games. He definitely deserves MVP consideration here this year.
Not only that, man, like their GMs are tight. Like this team is like tight knit. It's the guys that don't even get FaceTime. They're showing up. So I think that goes a lot to do with team chemistry as well. You win with the team, you lose with the team. And being on Bilal's team for a couple of seasons now, that guy is one of the best GMs in my opinion. Great kid. And it starts from the top, right? So they're doing something right.
Absolutely. And if you look at their stats real quick here, unlike many other teams who are top heavy, like look at this. Everyone has decent points, right? Maybe just a couple of people at the bottom they don't, but one of them is the goalie. And one of them just joined the team with 1 game, right?
Yeah.
So they have a very balanced offense.
Wait, so Omar Sadat is the only one without points?
Omar Sadat and
like your face is blocking it.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah, but they're also
I got a cup, yeah,
and stuff, right? So
yeah.
So anyway, they're doing great, and that they also got Ahmed Khalid at the end of just before the Ramadan break.
Yeah.
So he hasn't done much in that first game, but he's just likely to come out strong in this half, especially since his idol Austin Matthews is at 68 goals right now as we speak.
Yeah, man, that was one thing I was not wanting to talk about.
Why, Sully?
I'm surprised you brought it up. Actually,
hey man, I give credit where credit is due. Getting 7.
The cooler thing to talk about is the 100 assists by Connor McDavid. I think it's only 3 players have done that. Gretzky and
I think two players are approaching 100 points, 100 assists. No,
are they? Okay, I don't know. Yeah.
Didn't Ali Wadi also do that?
I wouldn't be surprised if you put him on that team. He'd be up there with assists.
All right, so the next team we want to talk about is Yakin. So they are second, and they are 5 wins, 1 loss, 1 tie.
Well, all I gotta say is Yakin. Maybe 4 seasons in a row. I think they're the only team that could potentially beat Sabr. I think.
Well. That's a very interesting point. There was a very controversial call in that game against Sabr, and Mohamed Shabir Patel scored, after video review, a clear goal, but during the game, it didn't, obviously, with it being that fast, it's hard hard to see those little bounces, but that could be a goal that, turns 12-0 or 11-0 record into a 10-1-0 record. So,
It's true.
it's funny you said that, but yeah, definitely, this
Or
Yakin
6-1 record.
or yeah, 6-1-0. But
Yeah.
Well,
I think this record Yakin, this team, like Sabr, a very, very strong team. Another tight-knit group, a bunch of Malton guys. And their GMs have showed up. And I think that's one thing that you're going to see with the teams that are at the top of the standings, or in the upper half, is their GMs have been able to show up week in and week out. Yakin, Mohammad Shabir Patel is leading the league in goals, or leading the league in points. Farouk Khan is leading the defenseman in points. I believe tied with Ali Wadi, or Ali Wadi might have a little bit one, but nonetheless, these guys are really coming out to play, and they're showing why they're in second place for a reason. And so, I think it's going to be really, really interesting to see how the season plays out and how the last final games play out. Are they able to overtake Sabr? They aren't that far behind in points.
I'm just gonna say it, and if you were zooming in there, I'm gonna say it today that Yakin's a better team than Sabr.
Yeah,
they are.
They won 3 in a row. But Sully, what I will say though is, if you look at their scoring, it's very top heavy. You got MP, Farouk Khan, and Omer Ingar, as the GM should, right? 14, 11, 11.
Sure.
But then it tails off pretty quick. Everyone else has.
Wow, this is a very. I think he's just, Salman has put a target on his back the next time.
I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying. Look. If you look for the goals for and goals against, there's a much larger gap than there is in suburbs. So. I mean, I think yeah, you're right though, Arif. That is definitely something that can be exposed by other teams.
Yeah.
But man, those guys come to play, man. Those guys come to play. So I'm a it's still a team game, I guess, but still.
Yeah.
Well, like we said during our recap, right? I played them the last season week that we played against them, and they're a tough team, man. And they are I would say, closest thing to a playoff ready team. They have it all. They just need to put it together as they have. And if you look, they are actually the highest scoring team, 25 goals. However, there's an asterisk on that. I think 7 of them was beating up on a team that had no subs in one of the games.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, that's a good point. That's a good point.
But still,
very good point. But nonetheless, it takes.
I'm still gonna say Yakin. Yeah, like Yakin is over Sabr.
So if you're on Sabr, the next time you guys verse Ikhlas and you see Salman in a corner or on the bench, make sure you give him a little bit of a chirp.
Yeah, I'm on the bench. It's fine. You can chirp me as much as you want. I have no I have no effect onto the game. So
All right, next one is Haya. Abdullah, I believe that's your team.
Yeah. I'm interested to hear what Salman's expert analysis.
Yo, Haya sucks. Oh my god! No, I'm just joking.
Well, let's look at their points. First of all, let's look at their standings. Their standings is 3-1-3, 18 goals for, 11 against, unbeaten in the last 4, which also means winless in the last 4. Depends on half full or half empty, but they've gotten points in every game.
We have 3 wins in our last 4 games.
Have you?
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe it's not showing up like that, but
I think it's because we also have a tie in there too. So
that's probably right. Yeah.
So that's why they say unbeaten. But nonetheless, I think we've had a pretty good start to the season. The first cup, we were actually 1 loss and 2 ties, in the first 3 games, I think. So it's nice to see that we're getting it going. We're able to close out games, holding leads and stuff. So I think one player to shout out definitely is Adam Syed, our goalie. I think without him, not to discredit any of the other goalies, even Yusuf Kapoor in the league, Adam has stood on his head for the entirety of the season. I think he's really been there to carry on. He won Player of the Week actually in that 1 week. We beat Iman, I think, and another shout out this week, or the week that happened before Ramadan. So I think he has been really, really solid. And our leadership, Luke, Akib, Suf, they come out, they let us know exactly what they want during the game, and they're not afraid to call it out. A lot of times people kind of don't like the most vocal GMs, but I think when your GMs are vocal, they aren't. It's not against you. It's against your style of play, and it's not up to what they want, and they will let you know. So I think that's really motivated our team to keep pushing. And it's good to see our higher picks starting to get onto the
Let me
score.
ask you, Abdullah.
Yeah.
Abdullah, sorry to interject, but let me ask you. We always hear higher hustle from the inside as a player of that team. Do you see that? Do you see a difference between higher hustle versus something else?
I definitely do think it maybe not like as much as everyone likes to say, but I think when you see like what Luke, Akib, and Suf and their mentality and their style of play and what they expect, it
Mhm.
is a fast-paced game. If you're gonna run hard to get in, you better run hard to get out. So it's definitely something that they expect, and I think I think for myself, I definitely got to start showing a little bit more high hustle, especially after this Eid week. So I think inshallah I'll be able to do it
Hustle is going to
tomorrow.
be hard for everyone after Ramadan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and honestly, Yusuf Siddiqui hasn't played in the last 2 games, and we've definitely been missing him as maybe not last game with the 5-0 win, but I think a couple of our other games, we're definitely missing him. He's our leading scorer and a great teammate to have, and inshallah he has fully recovered from I believe his concussion. So
Yep.
hopefully we'll see him.
All right. So looking at your scoring leaders, Yusuf Ahmed Siddiqui, 7 points, and a lot of praise from a lot of people around the league on his play. Sufyan, obviously, he's always solid. The scoring is not as high as some of the other two teams we saw, but again, it's a different. I think it's a different style, right? This team, so probably a bit more defensive in that sense.
Yeah,
Wait,
no, definitely.
any comments from you?
Not much, man. Not much.
Well, actually,
No, there's no
the last
comments.
game, Solman predicted Ihsan to Haya to win in hopes that we would lose, and we ended up winning even bigger than I thought we were going to win. So I'm curious to see what. Yeah.
I'm not making those predictions anymore.
All right. The next one goes well with Abdullah's room. Rida. Rida is well. I think I don't know if Ikhlas is up or Rida is.
Rida is fourth. With the head-to-head, Rida did beat Ikhlas, I believe, like 5-1 or 5-2 earlier in the season.
Mhm.
That game I think people remember for a different reason, but I think we can
Let me
forget
let
about
me
that.
put this up for everyone to see. This is what happens in case of a tie. And
So
later on,
wins head-to-head, and then goal difference. So yeah, honestly, this Rida team, it's another one of those close-knit teams that we're seeing. They drafted basically all of Cambridge, and that's something that has been really good for them in the game that they won, but it also has come to bite them in the games that they lost, especially when all of them decide to go for Umrah at the same time. It.
Well, the good thing is for them is that it's much warmer outside, so they're not going to be facing any snowstorms. So I'm sure they won't have any issues.
I don't know
to win
about you
games.
guys. When you played Rida, I felt, at least against our team, they were one of the more difficult teams to deal with. There are some teams that are higher up in the standings. I didn't feel they were as tough, even though we lost. But Rida was actually tough to play against. They're very very physical. They grind you down. They're tough.
They're a very good team. They have players like Mohamed Saleh, Wakar, Salman, and Salih Asim. I think they really have some really good key pieces that are leading them to to get the results. They haven't had the best results in the last couple of games, but I think it's going to be a tough playoff race to the end, and they are a good team. When we first it was our first game of the season, their second game of the season, and so it was still fairly early on. I think they were trying to get used to each other's playing styles and try to work together as a team. But a really really good team in this Rida team, and I'm surprised we aren't seeing more trades, especially after
That's what I was
maybe
gonna say.
not only
Yeah.
for Rida, but for for all teams. Maybe it's the 3 transaction limit that each team has. But I'm really excited to see leading up to the trade deadline what could be the key pieces to move.
When is the trade deadline?
I have no idea, but I believe it's next week. So
you have some sort of idea. Okay, so I think there are going to be some trades probably after this week. Like there could very well be.
Well,
some
there was
trades.
already a trade, so maybe this is an opportune time to bring it up,
Yeah.
even though it's not with this team. Or should we hold off until we get to that?
We should keep going with that.
All right.
Yeah, go. Let's keep them waiting.
Yeah.
Let's keep them waiting.
All right, next team is Iman.
Now these guys went for Umrah too. So let's see. They I was told that they did some doas for Islam as well. So it's good that everyone's keeping each other in their doas. Man, Iman's a good team. They seem like they're.
Sorry, I think we skipped one because after that
was Ikhlas. Yeah.
Wow. So, well, I was already talking about Iman.
Well, I'm sorry. We'll have to just
We'll pivot. So Ikhlas, great team. I think they started a bit slow, but in these last, I think 3-4 games, they've really shown, with a shorter bench, missing Ayaz, who's like their first round pick. They've really come together and shown that they can get it done with or without, their number one pick and some of their other better players. So definitely a good team. I think minus a few, not so good players, but
hang on. I want to give Salman here a chance to speak here because it's his team. I want to get some of the inside.
You're that's so mean, man. That's so mean, Abdullah. Anyways, yeah. Listen, I never said any names. Yeah, man, but you're gonna start smiling and looking at me like that, man. Okay, so our team, yeah, I think Abdullah had a good point. We have we really did rally after what happened to us. I think there's been some solid play like we really had some character games too, right? Like we really pulled up our socks and kind of fought hard and got it done. At times, I think we kind of surprised ourselves too. But it just goes to show that these games are winnable with or without your best players. So inshallah, that's gonna kind of keep the momentum going even after Ramadan. And it kind of sucked that we were kind of had a good stride going into the break, but now we kind of feel like we have to kind of get back into gear and kick things into gear a little bit. So we'll see how we do after break.
Abdullah, you want to recap the standings of where Ikhlas is?
So yeah, Ikhlas is in 4th, and I do we all know the playoff format, or I can give a little bit of a.
We'll get to that in a second.
Why
that maybe we can help you, but just to recap, Ikhlas is 3 wins, 3 losses, 1 tie for 7 points. Their goals for 20, goals against 22. So it's a pretty even, balanced stat here. And in terms of their personnel, Ali Wadi again leading, 12 points. Hamza Chaudhry 12 points. They've got a good spread of scoring here, so they're not too bad.
Does Rayan have 4? What is this? What is 14? Rayan,
probably penalty minutes.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it is.
Oh man! And then Ayaz has 16.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't show the suspensions, right? I mean that.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, losing Ayaz is a big deal on this team, right? Because he's such a catalyst for.
Well, he didn't die. He's still alive, alhamdulillah, and he's going to be coming back. So we lost him for a couple of games, but inshallah we're going to get back into where we started.
All right, Sully. Now you can go back to your discussions on Iman.
I don't even know what I was saying about Iman.
You're talking about Umrah.
I don't even
But isn't that with most things you say? No, I'm kidding.
That's probably true. No.
All right, let me.
Yeah. I the only last thing I would say though about Iman is that they have the good players. It seems like a fun team, but I don't know if they can really get it done. But
looking at,
I think we're talking about Omar Hossein too. Like he's a lethal player, but again, you can't carry a full team with one or two
Looking
players.
at
Unless you're
wins,
Joaquin.
they have 2 wins, 5 losses, 0 ties, 4 points, 13 goals for, 19 against. So yeah, they are where they kind of belong based on what the stats show.
I
Abdullah,
think
did they have a trade recently? I forget.
they had a GM replacement actually. I don't think we've announced it to the full league chat, but
Okay.
Zakaria Ali unfortunately has withdrawn due to injury.
Mhm.
And they are being replaced by we talked about him earlier in this podcast,
Mhm.
Mr. Hood Khan. I think that's why he tuned in today. Unfortunately, we don't have a graphic for him, but we'll maybe have one for tomorrow or whatever. But yeah, Hood was on Iman last season, the team that went to the finals.
Mhm.
We just couldn't get it done against my Akin team. But nonetheless, I think Hood is a great player. I think a great offensive player. Iman does lose a really, really good, strong defenseman
Yeah.
in Zakaria Ali. But, with bringing in an offensive, really
Mhm.
fast, pacey guy with good hands like Hood, I think it could turn around their scoring woes. Like,
Yeah.
and they're getting good contributions from, like, Hussein Hamad had 2 goals last game.
Mhm.
Really, he has a insane slap shot. You don't really expect it from him, but he can get those bar down slappers. And Altaf being the fast player with him, I'm excited to see him and Hood together. But I think
They've played together
He
before too,
struggled
right?
a little bit. I mean, he's leading their team with 6 points, but that it's far below his usual production.
Yeah.
Sully, I'm good.
Yeah.
I know you like to play the role of heel, so let me throw this question to you, uh, so that you can take the flak, not me. So Hood is replacing Zach, right? Zach is arguably one of the
Okay.
best defensemen, very, very solid. Is Hood an upgrade or downgrade for this team?
So I think he's a downgrade.
wow,
And the only reason I'm going to say that, listen, Hood is a good player, but he's been mighty inconsistent in previous years. And I'm just going to pull up the chat to see what other people
Mhm.
think about because I'd asked the thumbs up and thumbs down, and just to get a look. So we're split. We're 4 up and 4 down. So people are split on Hood. Listen, he's a good player. He's fast. He has good hands, but that guy, if he can get over his mental game, I think he can be a force to or not or yeah, he can just be a force in the
Mhm.
game, man. But let's see if he's what kind of Hood plays in the rest of the season. If he's consistent, great. If he's not, then it's not
I'm
going to
going to
work
add
out.
to that a little bit and say that guys like Hood and Ahmed Khalid are, some of our younger, really talented players. They need to make a little bit of a jump to the next level. I mean, they're really good. I think they've always been good players on the second lines and stuff. They've had good production, but this is where they need to step up and go to the next level, where it's not just blindly playing and running around and stuff, but actually thinking the game through a bit more, and also being a bit more defensive in some regards, right? You want to win the games and not just
There
get
you
your.
go. Well, that's the other thing, right? So he's a forward. They lost a really good defenseman. So how does that kind of
I
shape up?
think
How does that shake up
I
their
think
lines?
that Iman is one of the teams that's gonna need to make a splash at the deadline, either dealing, making a package deal with a couple of their forwards to get a defenseman. But something kind of needs to change, because as good of a goalie as Khalid Mufti is, he currently isn't receiving the defenseman in front of him that he needs to.
Mhm.
And so, they have Adam, who's a great, great defenseman. If when he has the ball, you're not getting it off of him unless you kind of lay him out. He's really strong. And they also have Asin Zaidi and Isawi. But I think other than that, they're gonna really need to either trade a forward to get another defenseman that can maybe
Yeah.
help them a bit, or you know just hope that they can score more goals than the other team, and make them all high scoring affairs like we saw with the
Yeah.
last game. But I think a couple of
Let
teams that
let
are
me
at the bottom going to be needing
let me
to
ask you. Let me ask you, Abdullah. I recall Ahmed Khalid got traded from to the I forget which way it was, but where did he get traded from?
He-
He left Dawood's team and went where?
He left. Ahmed Khalid got traded to from Iman to Sabr.
From Iman to Sabah. Okay.
So he went from like last to like first. So I don't think he's complaining.
Iman. So wait, which? Okay, makes sense. Sorry, I'm confusing the different seasons here. But we have one video. This is actually really funny. Just Dawood, Dawood Chiamba, right? He has he has some of the best timing, comedic timing. He doesn't realize how funny he actually is. So here, let me run this, and you guys will see here.
Wanted to ask how your game went last week and how you feel about your goal.
It was a good goal. I just closed my eyes, thought, what would DC do in this position? What would our buddy here, Bika, do? Muhib do? Not what this guy would do. I know what he would do. He'd miss the net.
I would go in the penalty box. Maybe that's why you got traded.
Emotional damage.
Yo, don't have to do me like that, bro.
Yeah, so I believe he got traded. It was him
just wanted
for
to ask
who got traded? I'm looking at this. I'm looking at their roster. It was him for Amar Wasif. I'm pretty sure.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
He
You're right.
has the 3 games.
Yeah, that's kind of what it's
He
ringing
has
a bell
3
to me,
games,
too.
so I'm pretty sure it was him for Amar Wasif. That trade actually, a lot of people didn't have a good opinion on. I think people thought that it didn't work out for Iman, but maybe we're gonna have a bigger game coming for them this week, and maybe they'll be able to get into the win column and kind of get their season back on the line. I think everyone does make playoffs, but when you go through the entire season without having a dominant performance and having a win, like a solid couple of wins under your belt, it's not you're gonna have a hard time in the playoffs against those top teams.
For sure. Anyways, I just found it funny how Dawood doesn't realize how funny he is sometimes with his comments. All right, next one is Taqwa. Taqwa has this is a team that struggled. I mean, after the draft, people were saying that this is the team to beat. They looked fantastic on paper, and to be fair, we've played pretty well most of our games. However, where the points count, Taqwa is 1 win, 6 losses, no ties, with at the bottom of the standings with only 2 points. And for a team that has so much firepower, we only have 13 goals and 21 goals against.
I think honestly, as bad as it looks, 1 win, 6 losses, and a tie. When you look at their schedule, like their scores, every game that they've lost has been a 1 or 2 goal game. 2-0 against Iman. Then they had the 4-1 outlier against Ikhlas, but then 2-1, 4-5, 3-2, 2-1 again, and then 4-3. So I think it's really 1 or 2 bounces away from picking up a good like 5 points from those 5 games.
Yeah,
and
the last 5 games, 1 point. Yeah, right.
Yeah, and so I really think that these games are the ones that are going to matter when it comes to your seeding in playoffs, and so maybe they'll be able to pick it up a bit. I think some of the goals that they've let in.
It's a new season for these guys. That's really what it is, right? Let's see what these guys can do now.
I think this is another team that's going to need to make a trade. I'm really surprised they haven't done so. Fuzzy and Abu haven't been shy to make trades in the past. They've made some pretty big like package trades in the past, and so I'm interested to see what
we did make one trade though. We Shakib, right? Like we.
Oh yeah, actually that was a pretty good trade.
That was a big trade, yeah. And then we lost Yusuf Ingar. However, we got Adil Patel.
So yeah, they have changed it a bit, but I think one thing that we're seeing is a lot of the goals, like especially from that Yakin game, came against they're not their top line. I think their forward depth really needs to kind of pick up with their game and clean up with leaving the people open in front, getting in front of shots and kind of understanding who your opponent is. If you see MP on like Mohamed Shabir Patel, don't give him the extra 2 steps that he has, because even if you guys even if you do run with him, he's probably going to still beat you in a foot race. So I really think that it's something that needs to, maybe be thought of, and maybe they'll have to make another couple of trades before the deadline. But this is
I
still a
think
force to be reckoned with. And
I
so,
think the reason why I know Abu is always open to hearing trades, potential trades, but I think his thinking is that we've been so close to like one goal. We could have had at least 5 points or even 10 points, right? It could have gone either way. So we're so close to it that he doesn't want to rock the boat too much. Because remember, just because you make a trade doesn't mean you get better. You could actually get significantly worse. One guy I do want to shout out on our team, especially for his performance last week, is Rehan Kazi. The little guy, he played phenomenal. He's a guy that everyone gives advice on the team, and sometimes I feel bad because everyone's giving him too much advice, and he gets confused. But he takes it all in stride, and he had a fantastic game. Playing on the third line, he got two of the goals and really spurred on a comeback. So yeah, great job, Rehan, and I hope you continue doing what you're doing. Sully, what's your thoughts on this Takwa team?
Like I said, man, it's a new season for these guys. If the guys show up, they'll make it work.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at even our goal scoring, Abu has 6 points in 6 games. Zaif has 9. But then it really, really falls off. I mean, myself included, I have like 1 goal in my last 2 seasons there. So I think we all need to really pull up our socks here. But
not to worry, but
Yeah.
the game this Friday, I think we'll probably talk about it later, but they are versing an Iman, and two teams that are struggling. This win, unless they both, it's like a 0-0 tie and it's a terrible game. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think whoever wins that game is going to end up, turning their season around, and this could be a huge game for both.
I think and I think it has a lot to do with like the upcoming games and the rest of the schedule too, right? Like some teams some teams have a better
remaining 4.
Remaining 4, yeah. So it's, and Takwa actually doesn't have that bad of a schedule, actually.
Well, so let me ask this then: is it? Do you determine that it's an easy or hard schedule based on where the teams are in the standings, or based on how you match up against a given team? Because a team could be below you on the standings, but you just have a tougher time playing against them.
I think it's how you match up. In Islam, it doesn't really matter what happened the week before. Honestly, anything can happen in the hangar. So I really think that it's with whatever whatever happens in the game, how these guys match up, and really who wants it more, because we've seen lower teams blow some of the higher teams, and we've seen the complete opposite. So I really think that it's going to be a pretty good game, and we still have one more team to talk about, so maybe we can talk about the schedule after. So yeah.
All right. The last team is Ihsan, and Ihsan is let's see.
Hopeless? Is that the word you're looking for?
Is that the word you want to use? Go ahead.
That's the word I would say. I think they're hopeless. They, for some reason, I don't know if they're delusional or something, but just talking to some of the guys, they feel like they're okay.
Really?
They're okay. They believe in themselves. They're like, no, we're fine. Just having some bad skips and lucks, whatever, ball jumps, whatever it is. Honestly, man, some of the defensemen on that team, I question that a little bit. Their lineups.
I mean, look at here.
I don't know what they're doing, man.
I mean, they have Farouk Sani, Kokar, Moka Zantini,
Omar Billah too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that sounds mid to me.
Wow, Salman, that's so rude. That's so rude. You know what? These guys are gonna beat you the next time you guys play, just for that.
Well, here, let's look at this.
Are they beating anyone?
They have beaten one. I think they've
there you go.
They're 1-6-0. 2 points, 12 goals for.
They beat Iman.
24 again.
I just don't know what they're waiting for, man. Like, I really don't know what they're waiting for. Like, you can't just keep trying the same thing.
I think, well, as someone that's been a GM that's tried to make trades with Dawood in the past, I think Dawood is someone that he likes a certain type of player, and he sticks with his guys. He's not really one that makes trades But I really think now is kind of the time that he's going to need to make something happen because they
Otherwise, he's gonna stick to the last place.
they have I believe like 1 goal in like their last 3 games or something like that.
Mhm.
Literally 1 goal in their last 3 games. So it's something's got to change, and I think the players are really gonna need to step up. But Omar Abdullah, who last season was like a surprise pick that was picked in like the 7th or 6th round,
Yeah.
turned out to be an insane scorer. And when he gets those passes in the middle, he's gonna find the top corner and he's gonna score.
Only
I
one
think
point, though. One assist. That's it.
1 assist. I think they haven't been able to feed him, or he hasn't been able to get those looks that he got on Yakin last year. And I really just think they need to find more support for their top line. And I think this is another. I think 4 teams definitely, like the bottom 4, need to change something, and like a trade should be happening. If if I'm a GM on any one of those teams, I'm looking, even making a trade for the hell of it, just to send your team a picture.
Well, here's the thing though. They did make a trade. They made a
And they
trade.
haven't had Shaqib. Yeah, that's true.
They got Shaqib, and he hasn't played a single game since he got there, right? So
For sure.
Yeah, they got bamboozled.
that's hurt them a lot too.
So we have 3 games remaining. So they could go 3-0 and end up in like 4th place or 5th place still. So
Yeah.
I think there's still a lot of hockey left to play, and
I think the season's up for grabs, guys. Like, I mean, yeah, I might be, pooping on everyone's like team and whatnot, but that's kind of why I'm on this show. But what I would say is that, you know what, this league is open. I think, Abdullah, you said it perfectly. Every week is a new opportunity. You just got to capitalize on it. It's a matchup. Play. So, I mean, yeah, if everyone's getting into the playoffs, it's anything can change.
That's a good
right?
segue into the next slide that I was going to present here. Good job, Sully. You're a pro. So this is, sorry to overlap everyone's face here, but this is the playoff picture in week 8 or 9. This kind of shows us the different categories. So the first 2 teams, they get a bye into, I'm having a hard time seeing on the screen, but they get a bye forward. Then the next 2 kind of wait, and the bottom 4 kind of fight it out. So even though there's this thought that, well, everybody makes the playoffs, we'll be fine. No, you have a much, much more difficult path.
Way harder game. And that first like play in, it's a 1 game, it's a one-off. So if you have a bad game that day, it's you're gonna be going home. And even after you win the play-in game, you still got to play the quarterfinal game.
Same
so
night.
you're gonna be playing a quarterfinal team that watched you thug it out in that first game.
Okay, but see, that's one perspective, but the other perspective is that you have some sort of momentum in actually having played, right? Like you're warmed up, so you can actually kind of get right back into the game mode. And sometimes that actually has helped a lot of teams go further in the playoffs. And that's why I was saying earlier that the first 2 seeds sometimes don't really go too far into the playoffs because they're cold. They haven't played for a couple of weeks. So, I mean, these are all factors that I think can work for or really against
Also,
you.
Suburb,
right? You could either be tired or
that's why you
momentum.
have that's where the fine line is between having the momentum and being fatigued.
There you go. That's
and
what I'm saying.
Suburb and Rida haven't played even a week before Ramadan, so they're 5 weeks with no hockey. So this they could both come out and look like they're in week 1 right now. And some teams can really take advantage of that. Whoever's playing them next week.
I mean, bro, listen, after 4 weeks that we're all playing week 1, like, I think it kind of comes down to that too. So I wouldn't worry if I were Rida.
It's exciting to see. So I think we can talk about quickly the games coming up, maybe.
It's already almost an hour. I think we should probably pack up a little bit. But hey, listen, I think it's suffice to say that for some teams, this will be a tune-up for the playoffs. Other teams, it will be really a fight, not to miss the playoffs, but at least get past the bottom seeds. And for some individual players, it might be a last-ditch effort to show their value for a trade. So the next couple of weeks are important. So regardless of what the matchups is this week, every game is important.
And I'm just really happy to get back to it, man. Inshallah, seeing everyone, it's gonna be good, especially at Eid day number 3. There's gonna be a lot of hugs.
I'm sure we're gonna have some players missing games for dawats and stuff. So let's just see what.
Well, in that case,
let's see what's happening with. Let's see. It's possible. Ridley could be missing 5 guys if they're all at the same dawat in Cambridge. So
if there's one thing we know, is Abdullah will not miss a game, because this man will leave his own wedding to show up to games. So, mashallah, you can always count on him.
It's at least second.
You use that for your application to be on the OC, right?
I don't even think I applied.
All right, that's
cool.
funny.
All right, gentlemen, I think we're going to leave it at that for now. Thank you very much for joining, and for the 9 or 10 people who watched. I think part of it has to do with people didn't know we were going to do a podcast today.
Oh, they knew. They just didn't read their messages.
Probably.
Don't insult me like that.
We'll go with that. But inshallah. Looking forward to seeing everyone tomorrow, inshallah.
Great.
All right.
Okay, assalamu alaikum, guys. Oh, free